I now request Lieutenant General Dr. Bipin Puri, Honorable Vice Chancellor, King George Medical University, to address the gathering.
Professor Shiv Kumar Sareen, President of the National Academy of Medical Sciences, Professor Saroj Churamani Gopal Madam, who's been the immediate past President of the NAMS, Professor Rajendra Prasad, who's the convener, State Chapter of Uttar Pradesh, Professor Digambar Behera, President-elect of the National Academy of Medical Sciences, Professor Dhiman, Director SGPGI, Professor Umesh Kapil, Secretary, National Academy of Medical Sciences, Professor Farzana, who was our chief host here this afternoon, and of course Professor Jamal Masood, who is the principal of Hira Medical College. Fellows of the Academy, members of the Academy, students, faculty of Hira Medical College, fellow Georgians, I see Georgians all over, and friends, ladies and gentlemen. I think it's a great pleasure for me, not only as a fellow, but also as a representative from the King George Medical University, to be here this afternoon for this inaugural function of the first, for the first time, this UP State Chapter of the NMS. So it is a matter of great pride for the state of Uttar Pradesh, and we congratulate, and we are so proud of Professor Rajendra Prasad to take it forward, because it puts the NAMS on a different pedestal in its growth story, and I think it is. So I was just last night I was reading about the NAMS and a couple of things which Professor Rajendra Prasad mentioned. I feel it's so important to even repeat those statements, because it historically they have huge importance, because as you are all aware that the NAMS is a very unique institution. He's talked about all that it does, but most importantly it fosters academic excellence. And when you foster academic excellence, and when you want a meeting ground of medical and social issues, it makes a huge impact. And I think NAMS to a large extent has been able to achieve its aims and objectives and its goals. Very interestingly, it all started in 1961, and Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru was the person who actually inaugurated and was helpful in its inauguration of this academy, which is I think a very major milestone. And imagine the first convocation being addressed by the president of the country. Now that's are huge milestones for this academy, and I think we are very proud to be a part of this academy. Well, friends, let me also say this, that the fact it is an online platform where biomedical science, academia from biomedical science, academia from education, higher education, and research all come together on a single platform, makes this a very important platform for us to pull our collective minds together, because collectively we can do a lot more, which I'll talk about in a minute. But I sincerely believe that the NMS, the academy, when it does what it does, giving fellowships, helping to organize CMEs, I think it is really the way to go in terms of capacity building of our fellows, our members at large. I sincerely believe an environment which is friendly for innovation, creativity, collateral thinking, igniting young minds is really the need of the hour. And I think to that extent, the NMS, the academy, is doing a wonderful job. Now I have just one or two things to say, and this is what is the crux of what I need to say this to my fellow colleagues, friends and delegates. research is an integral part of this academy. When I say this, I think I say this with a huge amount of commitment. And what sort of research are we talking about? I think it's so important for us to look at research which is translational, which is targeted, and which is relevant to our society. I think unless and until you focus on these three issues, you go off track. You might be saying that I continue to do observational research, I do basic research, but the mindset must always be, how can you possibly contribute towards society? And I think that is the word, that is my first remark which I would want to make. I have another one. Friends, ladies and gentlemen, data is the new currency in today's world. And let me also say this to you, that data science as a science is now developing. And that's unless and until we as medical scientists get together with the data scientists and try and make algorithms, templates, systems, data sets to take research to a different level, I think we'll miss the trees for the woods. I think, to me, this online platform which the Academy gives you is a platform where data scientists must help us as medical scientists to help us to analyze data, big data, and try and make it more useful information to talk about predictions, strategies, outcomes, prognosticators. I think that to me is a very important common ground, and I would request the convener to look at data science as a separate template where they must be used to help us as medical scientists to come to a common platform. And I sincerely believe, and I say this again, I keep saying it in my own university, I keep saying it, I've said it all my life in the armed forces, that academic honesty for a proper data collection continues to be the basic tenet on which everything is going to happen. So you can't make any algorithms, you can't make any templates if your data is fabricated or false. And therefore, correct, honest academic integration and formulation of data, I think, would be the first step towards this goal. Can NAMS do some sort of looking at how honest is your data? Is something which I think the NAMS has to take on. And I think it's a role which must be addressed at some stage, because it's not only UP state chapters, it's not only India, but the world is watching. The world is watching. What data are you talking about? How authentic is your data? How validated is your data? Because based on data, everything comes thereafter. So I have just one last point to make, and I sincerely believe, and I keep saying this in my own institute as well, multi-centric and multi-institutional collaborations is the need of the hour. A small vertical doing some local research is excellent, but if you diversify, if you make it multi-institutional, multi-centric, it adds to the impact, not only because of large sample size, but not only because of sharing of resources, but also because it improves your networking and your collective wisdom. With these few words, once again, I congratulate Professor Rajendra Prasad for the initiation of the UP chapter of the Academy, and Era Medical University for hosting us this afternoon. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.